Hello, 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 and welcome to another live stream here from the tiny studio. Let me know if you can see me, hear me okay. Otherwise, I will continue on and chit chat. If you're new around here, thanks for joining in for the live show. And if you're not, then maybe you'll know how this works already from last week. I'm going to do 30 minutes of a show and then 30 minutes of a post show. In the show, I'll just talk about a few updates since last time, and then who knows, maybe a quick Q&A on the ATEM Mini Extreme. I'm pointing down at the table here because I can see it right in front of me. Let me just show you that. I've got the ATEM Mini Extreme here. This is the non-ISO version, so we can come to that later. If you have any specific questions on that, let me know in the chat. Be sure to include @HereToRecord. Makes it a bit easier for me to see it when it pops up in H2R graphics. Otherwise, feel free to throw in some questions and I can look through them afterwards in the post show. So for the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to just chit chat about that, a few updates along the way, and then any questions you might have on the device itself. But first of all, then I just wanted to go through. Yeah, I just caught a comment there from Aaron, who just popped in. Where did that go? Let me see if I can find it. I see an extremely red box in the background. Exactly. Since last week, I didn't have that this time last week. On Tuesday, I got the shipping notification. On Wednesday, I got the notification to say I could go collect it from the post office. And then by Wednesday night, I had unboxed it, shot some B-roll with it, set up this shot here, shot some A-roll about it. By 7 or 8 o'clock, I had almost finished editing the video, and then I just exported a version, and the next morning I popped up to watch it again and make sure it was okay, and then I released it the next morning. So it's probably one of the fastest turnarounds for me in terms of getting a product and making a video about it. The reason I was able to do that, I think, is because I've I can just show you it here, but I have of course used ATEM Minis, ATEMs before. I've also used bigger ATEMs that had the that have other functions like SuperSource in there already, so it wasn't too surprising to me what was built into the device. The reason I wanted to obviously get my hands on it before making a video about it was because I really wanted to test, well, how does this part work, or how does that part work, so I could be sure when I made a video that I knew kind of how it worked. But otherwise, the ATEM is, pretty, well, I mean, it is pretty great. It has a lot of features in there that I wouldn't imagined coming into a device of this size. So that's one thing for sure. I'm very impressed of how much stuff they've managed to pack into, well, what is not actually a small device anymore. It's actually quite a big device now. But I don't know, it's full of really nice features, so that's really nice. So again, we'll come back to that. We'll probably talk about that for most of the time here. Other updates, I can give you a quick little behind the scenes tour maybe to see if anything has changed since the last time I made this video, or since the last time I did a live stream, which was last week. So I'll just show you this little camera shot here. I have a few things up on the screen here. I have H2R graphics over there. I saw somebody asking about that, how I did the chat. Well, that's H2R graphics over on the screen there, and it's showing all the chat messages coming in nicely. I can't really focus, but there we go. Just taking a look on around the setup a little bit more. Similar than last week, I've got the main camera over the top, multi-view here, and then I've just set up an iPad this week just so I could take a quick look and make sure everything was working as expected. I'm not sure I can show you on the roof now, but well, yeah, it actually looks pretty good. You can see from last week I've mounted these. I showed these off last time, and I said I would mount them, and I managed to do it this time. They're just little like brackets for mounting ceiling lights or cameras or whatever you want to mount. And in my case, I've mounted this G7 up here. From this angle, it does look like it's going to come crashing down on my head, and I'm really hoping it doesn't. I've also mounted another one just up on the roof on the other side of that beam there, which is what this camera should be on. but I don't have enough. I don't have enough what I need to basically hang that off the roof and trust that it's not going to fall over. So that is a quick little rundown of the setup. I actually saw a quick question come in there that I'm going to address now. From Alex saying, why are you using the regular Mini to stream rather than the Extreme? And that is a good question. I have the regular Mini, ATEM Mini Pro here, which is doing the recording and the streaming of this production. There's not. I thought about using the Extreme to do. I'll put that over there. I thought about using the Extreme to do the whole production today, and I will definitely do that in the future. But I just thought for now, since I want to show off features of the Extreme along the way, then it would be a lot easier for me to not only have full control over what it's sending out and be 100% sure about what I'm demoing. I'm just showing that here. So I've just connected the HDMI output of that into the HDMI input of the ATEM Mini Pro. So that's one reason, so I can demo things and I'm not affecting the main production. And the second reason is so I can pop into the ATEM software control, click around and not feel like I might accidentally share a stream key or do something silly like stop the recording or who knows what else. So that's a quick reason. Other than that, obviously I'm not afraid to use it to stream and to record as well. So it's just something I haven't gotten around to using as the main piece yet, but that will come. Eventually I'll stop talking about it and it'll just sit in possibly the cupboard actually back there, but at least on the desk and just be the recording and streaming device of the production. Especially as hopefully the weekly show here scales over time and I'm able to do other things like bring on guests and things like that. And I know that the SuperSource is going to make that really easy to get some layouts, and we'll come back to SuperSource later in future videos and hopefully later in this video as well if anybody has any specific questions about it. I've done some messing around in there and it's pretty impressive what you can do, which is really nice. And yeah, BT says please put a safety line on that overhead camera. It was on my to-do list of things to do before this live stream, but I didn't get around to it. So if you see it come down and crash me on the head, then well, I guess there's not much you can do. But next time I'll be sure to make it a bit more safe, that's for sure. As I put the other cameras up there and actually added another one, you can't see it, but it's just off screen above that window back there. I've added another one over there for the B-roll. So all the B-roll you saw from the ATEM Mini Extreme initial video, if you watched that, all the B-roll was shot with another little overhead thing over there. So yes, I'm sure over time I'll be a little bit better about securing things above my head. What else has happened since last week? Not a huge lot. I got the ATEM Mini Extreme and I basically spent most of my time either making videos about it or playing with it or testing out features. Sunday, I ended up shooting 3 more videos. For some reason I promised myself, or whoever, I promised myself basically that I would make a collection of videos on the Extreme instead of one big massive one. And over the next few weeks, I said 2 weeks before, but let's just change that to few weeks, I'm going to release at least 4 or 5 more videos on the Extreme, and I ended up filming 3 of them yesterday. One on the SuperSource feature, one on the Select bus specifically, and then I filmed another one on getting the most out of 2 HDMI outputs on the device, something that people have wanted for the longest time, but now that you have those 2 HDMI outputs, it really makes all the difference. So in this case, I'm showing you that HDMI output right now, and I'm showing you program out of that HDMI output, but what's really nice is that I can change that to multi-view, and then you can see that nicely coming into the production here. Or I can change that to any of the other sources that I have connected. So that's really nice to have that on the HDMI output 1, and then HDMI output 2 can be whatever I want it to be as well. So if you haven't, played with the Extreme yet, then you will learn all of these things along the way. Just enjoy some water while I talk already. So that has been the main, I would say, big change since last week. Grabbed this device and I've basically played with it ever since, making videos and then planning some more videos that'll be coming out a couple of weeks time as well. I want to do one on key fill graphics, and I want to do a few more on, oh well, whatever else I can discover in the device. So we've already talked a lot about the ATEM Mini Extreme, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot more. But I just wanted to say hello to people who checked in nice and early. Here's Jonas checked in. Jim asked a question real early, so I will come to that later. But just saying hello to a few people. Hello, welcome. Thanks so much. Yeah, Digital said waiting. I did go live about 10 minutes before today because I explained this a little bit last time, but I decided to go from the ATEM Mini Pro to Restream and then to YouTube. And that works better than just going straight to YouTube because of the 4G internet that I'm using here in the studio. But this time I didn't get any preview on YouTube, so I just wanted to go early, or go live really early, just so I could be sure. So I hope you didn't mind waiting too long for going live. But it was nice to have so many people tune in early and wait and say good morning and afternoon. I noticed last time I just skipped all of this by accident. Hello from Belfast. Thanks for tuning in from Belfast, not far from where I'm originally from. And Simon, thanks for coming in. So I've done that, giving you a little welcome, and I've given you a little gear tour, and I'm just gonna pop into some questions here because I already see plenty coming in, and I'm gonna kind of pick and choose around a little bit because I can get to a lot more stuff in the post show, which we'll get there eventually, which would be nice. Here's one I'm just going to pick really quickly. Rob asks, what are your top 3 features of the ATEM Mini Extreme? I think that'll change over time for me. Already, obviously I've only played with it a little bit. I've made some videos about it, not necessarily on it yet, but about it. And then over the next few weeks, I'm sure I'll use it as my main streaming device here in the studio. But I guess the things that I'm most excited for would be the 2 HDMI outputs plus the 2 USBs. I think that really does open up a lot of possibilities. Even months after having the ATEM Mini Pro or Pro ISO, I would think about using it at a gig and then realize, oh yeah, but I can't, webcam plus record to SSD, or the 1 HDMI output, you can never get that clean feed of a program. So those extra outputs are really great. I must say that it's less likely that I'll use 8 inputs. I mean, I've only got 3 connected now. I think so far 4 is the most I've had connected, and even that was pushing it a little. But I'm not so worried about the amount of inputs coming in. I'm more excited about the possibility on the outputs. So that's definitely one big thing. And another big thing that's really great, I think, probably like a feature people will really understand and enjoy whenever they get the device themselves, which is the select bus up here. I think that's one of the biggest eases of use for the device itself, because I can quickly repatch things. Like I said, I've made a video specifically about this, but being able to just say, okay, DSK1, I actually want input 1 to go to that, and DSK2, input 2 to go to that. So I think that's really nice quick device feature to have. Right there, buttons on the device ready to go when you need them. That will be number 2 of my top 3 features. And number 3, maybe I'll go back to you on number 3. Possibly not the buttons related or anything like that. I think it maybe would be SuperSource would be number 3 on the list, since it's built right in there, and I know I can use that on plenty of things, even if it's just a 2 side by side. If you watched my ATEM Mini Pro plus ATEM Mini video where I did sort of a picture-in-picture style look, it got complicated like almost instantly. So having that all built right into this makes it much easier than having to figure out how to stack devices together and then go from there and get lost very easily if you're not being careful. Aaron says, you're making me want to install more fixed position cameras in the studio. Yeah, I ideally that's what this would become, a little more fixed. I did touch on this last week where I don't want too much stuff just oddly lying around, a camera in the ceiling all the time, but being able to have more fixed positions like this overhead camera here, ready to go, and then I know that's exactly where that camera goes and I don't have to play around with the tripod to get the shot right. I'm already getting into routines even after only using this space for 2 or 3 weeks now to film these videos. I'm already getting in routines of, okay, that camera, it goes there, this camera, it goes here, and then I don't have to make those decisions every single time about, okay, slightly tweak the tripod this way and that way, which is what I used to do a long time ago when I was streaming from random apartments or wherever, was set down the camera and maybe slightly tweak it over here, and it ends up being different every time. I quite like this because I can just set it up and it's pretty much good to go, which is nice. Doug, thanks for popping by. Anxious to get your hands on an Extreme so you can test your SuperSource animation macros. Exactly. There's a few folks like Doug who've been using SuperSource for a lot longer than the rest of us. I've been dabbling with it on a 2ME for a few tiny productions, but not very much. But Doug, for example, has been using it for a long time and come up with ways of doing SuperSource animations, and I'm sure it'll be exciting to get your hands on this device and actually, oh, that was a funky cut, actually, use it, make sure it all works the way you expect it to. But what I've found so far is that it's working pretty much the way I would expect it to from the bigger switchers. So it's kind of the exact same thing, just implemented in a new device, which is really exciting. Let me see. Why do people keep going on about soup or sauce? Maybe that's my bad pronunciation of SuperSource. It's a bit of a mouthful, and you get pretty used to saying it a little bit too fast, which is pretty funny. Here's a question. SB wants to know, could you please describe the differences, the feelings, the materials between the keys of the ATEM Mini Extreme and the ones on the previous ATEM Mini? That is an interesting question. I'm going to just press around on some keys on the original ATEM Mini Pro here. I've got not the ATEM Mini in front of me. And compare that to the keys on here. I feel one part of me says that because I've used the ATEM Mini Pro a lot, it might have gotten a little bit used to being pressed a lot. I feel overall the buttons feel fairly similar, but there is a bit more of a spring to them. That's a very specific question. I might know more over time as I play with it more, but they don't feel too much different. I think you notice the difference though whenever you've used your ATEM Mini a lot. I'm going to get to this question now because you keep asking, or someone keeps asking, and I don't have an answer to this. There's a stinger button on the select bus here, sting, and it doesn't do anything. And if you've instantly tried the select bus when you got it and you press that button, every other button does something, but the sting button does not. So I suspect it will be a feature that they will add, or a feature that they want to add remappable sting. Bit of a shame that it's yeah, it seems like maybe it's just not ready yet. Someone just replied to say that in the chat. Greg says it's maybe just not ready yet, and that's something Blackmagic has pretty much done plenty of times in the past. I remember when I got one of the second or third devices I bought of theirs was the original Hyperdeck Shuttle, maybe, or Hyperdeck Shuttle. Anyway, it was like a desktop device, SDI in, HDMI in, and there was a button on there. I think there was a button, I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head, but there was like an info button on there that didn't actually do anything. And it was one of those buttons that someday will get implemented, and I'm not sure it ever actually was implemented. So it's something that I've seen before with Blackmagic design. Things that they want to get to, but they maybe don't get to, or it maybe doesn't work and they don't get to get that feature out there, or maybe they move on to a new project and it never happens. So I'm hoping it's not one of those cases, especially with the button right there on the end of the row. Sting might do something someday and you can map one of these to it. But for now, unfortunately, there is no way to do anything with it. And I think there was a question there about buttons, specifically this one. Is there also a self-destruct button? There's not. There's every other button on here. That's definitely one thing you notice as soon as you get this, that it really is button overload. Some part of me some part of me thinks that they really just wanted to get every single button, every single space kind of full in there. Not that they really had to do that, but they definitely decided for some reason that they would fill almost all the empty space with a button of some sort. You can hear me clicking around here as I fix something in the background. But I don't know. It would have been okay not to have all these buttons. I can't imagine ever using 8 camera control buttons like this. It seems very unlikely to me. But I can also see why. If they added 4, then people would have said, well, why did you only add 4? What happened to the other 4? So this would have been a big empty space if they didn't add all of these. It would have been odd if they added 4 out of 8 or 1 or 2 out of 8. So I guess they just decided, let's just fill the space and add them all in there. But when you get it, it's a lot of buttons. I will say that I haven't really used it in too much of a dark environment just yet, but I have heard people say they can't quite read what's on there, but if you sit pretty close to it like you do with most devices, then it is pretty clear what they all say, but maybe in a darker environment then it would be a little bit hard to see actually what happens. Cracking on back to the questions. I'm kind of jumping all over here, but I'll come back to anything I haven't covered whenever we slip into post-show, which actually isn't that long. We're going very fast in terms of time, which is excellent. Or not excellent. It's fun to be here and chit-chatting. But lots of questions coming in nicely. Jonas wants to know, interested in getting H2R on the macro buttons. That's a good question, or a good thought. Funny, the macro buttons are one of those sets of buttons that I don't see myself really using at all. Because 6 of them is a specific number, first of all, and then you have to remember what you've programmed to each one. And because of the fact that there's not that much space here, then there's not that much room to write what you've programmed on each one of these. So it's kind of a memory exercise. Maybe I would program 1 and 2 to be something that I was 100% sure of, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'll ever use these. But to answer or to reply to what you said, yes, at least I could set up one of them to be bring H2R graphics on screen and bring it off screen again. That would be my use case for it, and then I know exactly what I've set up on those buttons. Dave says you don't need to use all the camera control buttons. You might want to place a PCC at input 7 or 8, for example. Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't need to use them all, so it's funny to have them all here. But yeah, I guess it was just should we fill this space with buttons? And they decided, yes, let's just fill this space with buttons. And that's perfectly fine. The buttons are there. You can use them if you want to. I think that's a bit like me, complaining about 6 macro buttons and things like that. Because people wanted the macro buttons and now they got them, and here I am complaining about them. So someone always finds a way, and I am that someone today. Someone always finds a way to have something to say. Checking back in on comments, our questions are disappearing faster than I have been looking over at them. Pat, that was more of a comment. Pat said, thank you for your help on the ATEM and Companion. Yes, Companion is something people mistake that I've in some way helped with Companion. That's certainly not the case. I haven't really done anything to make Companion a reality, other than a little bit of updates on the H2R graphics Companion module. But like many of us, I have my video on their homepage, and therefore people associate me with it and ask me questions about it, and whichever they like, because then I can answer those questions maybe, or maybe learn some other stuff about Companion. So if you have any specific Companion related questions, then do let me know over email or in the Discord, because it's it's quite nice to not only show people how to use Companion, like the simple stuff like connecting a couple of ATEMs together, but I'm also interested in how people are using it with other devices that I don't have, because I realized that that video on the Companion website is very one-sided in a way, where I'm basically just talking about ATEMs because that's kind of what I use. But there's so many more things you can do in Companion that it seems a shame not to try to explore some more of those. For example, I use vMix Companion module a lot for other gigs, and I've used it for QLab before. I've never really made a video about that because I don't even know enough about QLab to do that. So I like to hear what other ways people are using Companion. And I think I already got back to this, but thanks for the content. How many days from pre-order to receive? Where did you buy it from? And do you know when the Extreme ISO starts shipping? I think it was like a week and a half, maybe. I pretty much pre-ordered it the day after from Scandinavian Photo here in Sweden, and I guess it was within a week or so that they got their shipment and passed it on. As for the ISO, I've seen a few out there, but not very many at all. The Extreme came out almost instantly to Netherlands and then worked its way up to Sweden in my case. But I haven't seen many ISOs out there. I suspect it's just a few special cases that people have gotten them. And they did say a couple of weeks, and I guess now it has been almost a couple of weeks, so hopefully it'll come pretty soon. I just mentioned Discord there, and I saw that, let's see, Steve had a quick question. John, please explain Discord. What is it? It's basically a community in this case. There's a link below all my videos to the Discord server, and it's kind of like Slack if you've used Slack, or what else is it like? Well, Slack is basically the only comparison I can think of. Or group messaging. So you just join the server, and then you can get a part of all the channels in the server. And in the H2R I'm here to record Discord server, we have topics from general hardware, general software, to specifics like vMix or ATEM. And there's over 700 people in there right now in that server talking about all sorts of things. So come in, ask questions, get some advice. There's loads of people that have joined and then learned, and then after a few months they've come back and posted their own things and shared their own learnings. So it's a great way to come in. And then IRC, yeah, that was the term I was trying to think of. So it's like basically a chat board to chat with each other and get tips. And it's every day I wake up, because a lot of the people in the Discord, it seems, are in the US. So every day I wake up to a long stream of messages that happened the night before on all sorts of topics. Who knows what they might chat about. So I recommend jumping in and just asking questions. If you don't feel like you fit in there, then that's okay, but it's a very welcoming community. I've found people have been very kind and helpful, and there hasn't been much, or maybe any, issues in there at all so far. So jump in and say hello. I know that I don't want to call people out, but I know that Aaron is in there talking a lot and helping people. Alex Patet, I've never said his name out loud, but he's got a YouTube channel and he shoots things about ATEMs. He's in there sometimes helping people out. Doug's in there, and Doug has his own server as well. So if you want to join the two and get different sorts of answers, then you should do that as well. So that's a quick rundown on Discord. And wow, that was an interesting little talk through. I realized that we didn't talk too much about the ATEM Mini Extreme. I think I'm skipping over a lot of specifics on it because I've shot so many videos about it over the last few days. It's become I'm not used to it yet, but I've become very used to it very fast. But maybe in the post show, which we're heading to pretty soon, if anyone has any specific questions, then I can take those in there. But I really appreciate you coming in live, asking your questions. It's been fun to hang out for a little while, and I'll see you hopefully in the post show if you're watching live. And if you're watching on demand, then the post show is for members only, so you can always get access to it by signing up and clicking the join button below any of the videos here on the channel. So I'll see you in a few seconds if you're watching live over in the post show. Thanks for watching. See you soon.